Oh, I remember the first night I met Hulk Hogan. It was in a local nightclub that all the wrestlers visited after we had our Tuesday night matches in Tampa. We'd go to the Imperial Club, still embedded in my mind, the name of the place, and uh, uh, after the matches in Tampa, and then and one night in walks Hulk Hogan, the future Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, and a guy that's 6'6" or 7 or whatever he was, and with his huge head, and he comes up to me, and he says, "Superstar Billy Graham," he said, "I want to ask you two questions. I want to ask you two questions." I said, "Who are you, brother?" Because I didn't mind. I knew he wanted. I knew he was going to be a wrestler, or it was going to be something to do with wrestling. I said, "Who are you, brother? What are you doing?" He said, My name. But I don't even know what his name. His wrestling wanted to be name was because he hadn't wrestled yet. Maybe he told me his name was Terry Bollea. He said, "I'm local. I want to be a wrestler. They won't let me in. They won't give me a tryout," he said, "for some reason. They won't give me a tryout." He said, "I want to ask you two questions in this nightclub." I said, "Well, sit down, brother. Sit down. Ask me the questions." He was very polite, very nice. He said, "I want to know two things. How do I become a professional wrestler, and how do I take steroids?" I said, "Well, taking steroids is easy. You just take a shot every day, all day. take steroids every day, all day." And I was kind of laughing as I was saying it as a joke. And he said, "Well, I've been doing that for the last year. I've been giving myself a shot of testosterone almost every day on my, I believe he said my right hip." And he said, "For the last year," and he said, "I've built up so much scar tissue that I I have scar tissue about the size of a golf ball on my hip." I said, "Well, brother, just change hips. Go to the other hip." I said, "Switch sides for a while, and then go to your thigh, and then go to your other thigh, and then go to your shoulder, and then go to your other deltoid, and move it around." I said, "But just take a lot of steroids, you know." And I said, eventually, I said, "The way you look, as big as you are," and I had seen him sitting about 7 rows back in the Tampa Armory with that big giant head, a full head above everybody else's head, just 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 absolutely laser beamed onto the ring, watching the matches and watching me, and I'd seen him maybe six weeks worth every Tuesday night, and so finally when we did meet, I knew he really wanted him bad. I said, they will let you in." I said, "They're messing with you." And the Florida territory was famous for messing with guys, and for there was a Japanese wrestler there, Hiro Matsuda maybe was the name, possibly, that was a very good amateur wrestler, and they had, before they allowed you to become a professional wrestler, if you weren't someone like myself with already an established reputation, they would take you down to the Tampa, their little sportatorium deal there, and put you in the ring and seriously do some damage to you amateur wise, and see if you wanted to still become a professional wrestler. And he said, "They won't even." I said, "Brother, they're gonna maybe take you down there and try to do some damage to you." He said, "I don't care what they want to do to me. I want to be a pro wrestler." I said, "Well, you will be. I can see it. You're huge. You're big. You got it in you. Just keep on trying. Don't give up." That's the only advice I gave him. I said, "Keep on trying and don't give up." And so, sure enough, obviously, he became Hulk Hogan.
So he had already been taking steroids before he ever got into the pro wrestling.
Oh, he told me he'd been taking steroids for 1 full year at the time I met him. At the time I met him. And I had been taking steroids for 5 years before I started wrestling in mid-60s. So there was nothing wrong with that. The people that have died from complications of steroid use and other drug use in pro wrestling is almost beyond belief. It's almost beyond belief. So many drug-related deaths in pro wrestling, for it to have ended up like this, it's tragic.
There was a famous interview on the Arsenio Hall show with Hulk Hogan, who has since admitted to being a steroid user. at the time, he had said that he did not take steroids other than for medical purposes, and that you were a steroid abuser, and you had been a star in the 1970s. Now we've seen that Hulk Hogan has had many back operations, and I believe he's had quite a few surgeries, and he's admitted to steroid use and cocaine use in his book. How did you feel at the time that he was saying that stuff on TV about you lying when you knew it was true? And
Yes, I recall that vividly, and I found it so strange that he would actually go on a national televised show and say that he had never used steroids, only for medical reasons, and I think that was 2 or 3 times he said that those were medical reasons, and that when I had just said earlier in this very interview that we're doing, that when I first met him in 1975, 76 time frame, that he told me he had been taking steroids, injecting himself with steroids for a full year before he met me. You know, and he said that to my face. And then to get into his career, his extremely successful career, and then to go on to a national televised show like that and deny that he had ever taken steroids was almost so, it was so ridiculous that it was laughable. It was like, are you kidding me? How can you actually say that with a straight face, you know? And then especially sitting there with a massive physique, you know, that you couldn't build without the assistance of steroids, period. And then to put all the heat on me that I was really a steroid user and abuser. Yes, I was. I did use steroids. I did abuse steroids, but also Hulk had used them a full year before he even started wrestling, and had told me this. So I found that how could he commit to such a vicious lie on national television for the sake of, preserving his image. And, you know, I didn't get it. It was really, it really set me back. It really did. He was an iconic figure still. This is an iconic figure. And ironically, that's what the judge said at the Dr. George Zahorian trial in Harrisburg about omitting Hulk Hogan from testifying. The judge actually said to the jury and the people in the courtroom that he had excused Hulk Hogan from testifying in this trial because he is such an iconic figure to young people that him testifying, this is a quote from the judge, that him testifying would do more damage than it would good, because he has such an impact on young people in this country. And that's why the judge released him from having to testify in that trial.
Do you think some of his injuries could have been prevented had he not taken steroids?
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I do know without a shadow of a doubt that abuse of steroids causes tremendous bone joint complications. And now that he has admitted, I guess in his book, that he had used steroids, and there's no question that I believe his surgeries, all of his operations are linked to steroid use. There's just too many operations. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't know because I haven't seen his medical records, and it's just my speculation, but I would have to say yes, it's definitely related to steroid use.
And of course, you were his inspiration in getting into the wrestling business. Him and you were together in the 80s in some vignettes and at the first ever Slammy Awards. So you've been friends, and of course in the early 90s, you obviously went through a patch where you were enemies. How is it between you and Hulk Hogan today?
Oh, I think everything is fine. I don't know if it will be after this interview, but I'm just speaking the truth. That we've really years ago decided to bury the hatchet between us and put everything behind us and everything. And I consider him, there's no question he's an iconic figure in this business. There'll never be another Hulk Hogan, just like there'll never be another Arnold Schwarzenegger. There just won't be. So that python up there, brother. So that python up there, brother. Devin, right here, Devin, yeah. Me. Oh, man. Yeah, he was putting me through that, okay. Other times in the doctors, yeah. Because I got your, yeah, they were scamming all the calls. And I was telling them that there was a protocol from them, and my number transfer officer had to slow them up to the Hulk. We got the Hulk talk, we got that in. I said, yeah, of course we got that Hulk. Nobody else. Yeah, I read his email. Oh yeah, brother. Oh yeah. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm very proud that I have a big partner in my life. Oh really? You know, you wouldn't think it's that much. It wasn't stealing the ball.
Did Hogan, by the way, I get this question from fans a lot. That time you met him at the last autograph session you did in New York in 2013, I believe. I guess you hadn't spoken to him since probably the late 80s at that time, but was there ever any further contact after that? Fans ask me that all the time. Did he ever...
Oh, not really. Even though we exchanged email addresses, he really hasn't emailed me or a phone call or anything. So that was just a very congenial meeting, shaking hands and everything at that time. But we never, there's never really been any desire on or any reason to reach out to each other and just even to say hello. I mean,
did you ever consider suing him for gimmick infringement? I think you would have had a great case there.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, he actually told me at that very meeting where the photo, that famous, my favorite photo of all of you pointing to Hogan and telling him your arms are going to be bigger than his. Of course, my favorite picture of that meeting is you pointing at Hogan. But please post that picture with this interview of you.
Yeah, I'll post it for the part where we're talking about this.
Yeah, just put that still up of you pointing at the Hulk and challenging him to an arm wrestling contest, and blatantly telling him. I remember you telling the Hulk that you will rip his arm out of his shoulder.
The fact is that he stole a lot of elements of your gimmick, which you were all right with. You took it as flattery, but he didn't always give you the respect you deserved for everything he took from you.
Well, it was. That's also putting. To be honest, that would be putting him in a rather awkward position to, explain that he, or confess that he, as he put it, stole all my stuff. And the first person to wear a boa.
Oh yeah, and both Jesse Ventura and Hulk Hogan ended up taking it.
And Hulk and Jesse took the boa from me. I was the one that came up with the boa, and this is how I did it on the day of the Madison Square Garden of the matches. I went out. I thought, what am I going to wear besides what I know I was going to wear? All black with a sequin rose tank top in the middle of the tank top. All black. I said, I need a boa, an actual boa. I went to Macy's, the famous Macy's department store in New York in '77, and paid $250 for a real boa, right off a mannequin, a black boa.
Some of the terms that he was inspired by, such as brother, pythons, for instance.
Yeah, these were classic terms. The python.
A lot of people don't give you credit. You were the first wrestler to ever be called the superstar. You took the name. Now they're all called superstars.
Yes. Even the girls are superstars.
Yeah, which is incredible.
The girls are superstars. But he was smart, though, using the python, because I said I had 22-inch pythons, and when he took it, he went to 24. I have 24-inch pythons, so he upped me by 2 inches on the pythons.
What was he like when you first met him anyways? Was he what was the difference between, like, because he was one of the people, you were one of the people that he came to for advice on getting into the industry, right? So what was the difference between him in those days and then in later years when you guys were, I guess, in WWE together and he was giving you the Real American Award and that time? What would have been the differences in his personality?
Oh, he in the beginning, in the very, very beginning, when he was trying to break in, he was very polite, but he was obsessed with becoming a wrestler. Obsessed with it. He said, I have to become a wrestler. I have to. How do I get in? He told me, how do I get in? He said, Matsuda and Eddie Graham, and they won't let me in. They won't give me a tryout, And so I just told him to keep trying. You'll get it. But he did ask me in Atlanta for advice. He had two places to go to, Minneapolis, or it might have been the Alabama thing. And I said, please go to Minneapolis. This is the big stage other than New York. And, of course, we know that he eventually did with Vince.
Yeah. And the other guy that patterned himself after you, of course, Ric Flair took